There's something no one tells you about Aries. They'll walk into your life like light, bright, warm, full of laughter and conviction. They'll fight your battles, heal your wounds, and ignite a kind of fire inside you that you didn't know you needed. You'll think they're too good to be true, too brave, too kind, too willing to burn themselves just to keep you warm. And maybe they are, but here's what no one warns you about. That same fire doesn't ask permission to turn dangerous. Not in 2026. This year, more than any before, Aries are stepping into a different kind of power. One that is no longer just about protecting others, it's about protecting themselves. Their loyalty will remain unmatched. Their love will still be rare. But their threshold for betrayal, that will be terrifyingly low. Because once they see through your lies, your games, your hesitation, they won't argue, they'll erupt. They won't raise their voice. They'll vanish like wildfire, leaving you with silence hotter than any scream. 2026 isn't just a number. It's the year Aries stops asking for respect and starts demanding it with fire, with boundaries, with silence that roars. And in today's video, I'll show you the 20 hidden reasons why Aries is still the kindest soul you'll ever meet, but also the one who can burn everything down if betrayed. Each reason will take you deeper into the flame, and one of them, especially number 2, may change the way you look at Aries forever. Before we begin, tell me this in the comments. Have you ever been loved by an Aries and then lost them? Or maybe you are the Aries no one expected to burn back. Let's begin. The fire's waiting. Reason 1. Their fire is love until you feed it lies. They don't love the way the world tells them to. Aries doesn't give you their heart with conditions, contracts, or calculated caution. They give it as a gift, raw, whole, without a parachute. At first, it feels like you're being pulled into the sun. Their loyalty is blinding. Their excitement for your dreams outshines your own. Their belief in you makes you feel like a god in your own story. You don't earn their warmth, you experience it. But that's where people make their first mistake. They think Aries is just fire for the sake of light, something that will keep shining even when you start casting shadows. They think that passion equals permanence. They think they can tell small lies, manipulate through silence, offer love with one hand and hold doubt in the other. They forget that fire reacts. And in 2026, Aries is no longer ignoring the smoke signals. This year, they have evolved. They can feel a lie before it's spoken. They can smell betrayal in your hesitation. And they will not wait around to be proven right. They won't confront you with tears. They won't beg for clarity. They'll let your dishonesty speak louder than your apologies. And when they walk away, they won't look back, not even once. Because here's the truth, Aries doesn't burn bridges, they evaporate them. And that warmth you once took for granted, it becomes a ghost. A ghost that reminds you what it felt like to be loved by someone who meant every word they ever said until you didn't. Life lesson. The most dangerous thing you can do to someone who loves purely is lie halfway. When we love someone who gives us everything without fear, the only right response is honesty. Not perfection, not performance, just truth. Because the people who give with fire also protect with fire. In life and in love, learn this. Don't test the silence of someone who once spoke to you with fire. They're not being quiet because they're confused. They're being quiet because they've already decided. Comment if this sounds like someone you've lost, or someone you should have never underestimated. Reason 2 is coming, and it will hit even deeper. Stay close to the flame. Reason 2, they build real connections. But if you play games, they erase you with precision. There's a myth about Aries, that they fall fast and fall foolish, that their passion clouds their judgment, that you can toy with their heart while they're busy lighting yours. But here's what no one expects. Aries may enter connections quickly, but they do it with intention. They're not careless, they're courageous. They don't hide their affection behind sarcasm. They don't pretend to be cool when they care. They dive in because they believe in real things, real conversations, real loyalty, real emotional presence. And when they open the door to you, it's not cracked, it's wide open. But if you start playing games, if you flirt with dishonesty, if you give silence when they need truth, if you manipulate with timing and tone, they don't confront you with drama. They become surgical. Their warmth doesn't fade, it vanishes. Their fire doesn't explode, it disappears into icy clarity. You won't hear a warning. You'll feel absence so cold it makes you question if they ever cared. But they did, and that's what makes it hurt. Aries doesn't do revenge. They do erasure. And it's clean, absolute, and permanent. Because the Aries of 2026 no longer fights to be understood by those who play with what's sacred, they simply refuse to participate. They cut ties like warriors sharpened by silence. And they walk away not to hurt you, but to protect what's left of themselves. Life lesson. Some connections end not because of hatred, but because one soul values truth and the other power. In love and life, do not confuse someone's openness with weakness, because once they see the game, they no longer play. And the people who love cleanest often leave quietest. Have you ever opened your heart too quickly and watched someone treat it like a game? Comment if you've ever had to walk away with quiet dignity just like an Aries would. Or if you are that Aries, tell us how it felt to choose silence over drama. Reason 3, they are light to those they love. But if you hurt them, they become a storm. Loving an Aries is like waking up in sunlight. They brighten your world. They energize your dreams. They see the parts of you that even you tried to forget. And they love you louder than anyone ever dared. Their joy is your joy. Their loyalty is your armor. Their energy becomes your strength. But this light is not endless, because Aries love with their whole being, which means they also feel betrayal with their entire soul. And when someone wounds them, truly wounds them, something shifts. The sunlight turns dark, the laughter quiets, and the space they once filled becomes haunted by the storm they now hold. They don't throw plates, they throw silence. They don't scream, they speak truth with the force of thunder. And when they hurt, they don't just walk away, they transform. What once healed now confronts. What once warmed now roars. What once stayed becomes something unforgettable. And here's the part that most never see coming. They don't hurt you for revenge. They hurt because you turned their light into a battlefield. And no one survives long in a war they never asked for. Aries doesn't threaten. They don't give ultimatums. They change. And once that change happens, the person you knew becomes someone you can't touch anymore. Life lesson. Never take for granted the person who brings light into your darkness. They may be your sun today, but they are never obligated to stay. Because when someone loves you purely and you wound them deeply, they don't fight to be seen. They let the storm inside speak for them. And when that storm passes, they won't be where you left them. They'll have become something stronger, quieter, and far beyond your reach. Do you know what it's like to be someone's sunlight and then become their storm? Share your Aries story, whether you were the fire or the one who lost it. Let's talk about it in the comments. Reason 4, they listen with full attention, but if you interrupt with ego, they shut down completely. People assume Aries are always the loud ones in the room, the ones who speak first, move first, react first. But there's another side, one far more rare, far more revealing. When an Aries truly cares about you, they listen, fully, with eyes that lock into yours, with a presence that says, I am here, and what you say matters. In those moments, you feel seen in a way the world rarely offers, because they're not listening to reply, they're listening to understand. But interrupt that space with ego, talk over them, diminish them, or mistake their focus for passivity, and everything shifts. They don't argue, they disappear. Not physically, emotionally. You'll see their fire go dim. The spark behind their gaze will fade into something colder. And what you lost in that moment isn't just their attention, it's their respect. Because Aries doesn't fight to be heard in spaces poisoned by arrogance, They don't compete with voices inflated by self-importance. They leave, not out of fear, but out of principle. And when they shut down, it's permanent. You might still hear their voice, but you'll never feel their presence again. Life lesson. Sometimes silence isn't surrender, it's clarity. And when someone chooses peace over pride, don't mistake it for weakness, because the strongest ones don't raise their voice. They remove it. Respect the ones who listen deeply. They're the same ones who vanish when your ego gets too loud. Have you ever shut down mid-conversation because someone just couldn't respect your space? If you're Aries, tell us what happens inside you when someone interrupts with ego. The comments are yours. Reason 5. They give everything in a friendship, but if you use them, they walk away without looking back. When Aries chooses you as a friend, you're not just a name in their contacts, you're family. They'll show up when others disappear. They'll remember your birthday without a reminder. They'll fight your battles like their own even when you didn't ask them to. And they do it all not because they expect repayment, but because loyalty is written into their fire. But here's the part no one talks about. When Aries senses they're being used, they don't explode, they disconnect. They don't throw accusations, they don't build cases, they simply stop showing up. And the silence you hear in their absence, that's not confusion, that's finality. Because Aries may be the first to help, but they're also the first to leave when their kindness is mistaken for currency. They are not your emotional ATM. They are not your fallback plan. They are not here to be drained by people who only reach out when they're drowning. In 2026, Aries has no time for one-sided bonds. They walk away quietly, but when they do, the door doesn't just close, it vanishes. And trying to reach them again will feel like knocking on smoke. Life lesson. Never confuse generosity with obligation. Those who give you everything can also take it all back without cruelty, without a scene, without regret. And when they do, you'll realize the truest power isn't in leaving loudly, it's in leaving without needing to explain. Have you ever had to walk away from a friendship that felt one-sided? Or are you the Aries who gave too much until it drained you dry? Tell your story in the comments, someone needs to hear it. Reason 6. They love peace, but they are never afraid of war. Most people misunderstand Aries. They assume fire always wants a fight. They assume confrontation is their nature. But they're wrong. Aries, in truth, craves peace more than most. They flourish in honesty. They thrive in clarity. They seek spaces where everyone shows up real and raw without manipulation, without masks. They love the quiet when it feels clean. They love peace when it's mutual. But here's what flips the flame. Once they detect injustice, once they sense emotional manipulation, once they feel the quiet is covering something rotten, they don't just speak up, they rise. They don't enter arguments, they enter battle. And when they do, there are no warning shots. They don't fight to be right, they fight to defend what's real. And that kind of fire doesn't negotiate, it ends things. You may think you can gaslight them, delay the truth, or play both sides, but Aries is not playing. They never were. They won't scream, they'll stand, and they'll burn down the entire illusion just to keep their peace pure. Life lesson: peace is not passive, it's protected. And when someone who values harmony is forced to choose between truth and silence, they will choose truth, even if it sounds like war. Have you ever felt peace turn to fire in an instant? If you're an Aries, describe the moment you had to speak truth even if it cost you everything. Reason 7. They are natural leaders, but try to control them and you'll meet resistance like no other. You don't make an Aries, they are born. From a young age, they walk faster. Speak first. Challenge authority not out of rebellion, but instinct. They don't follow orders, they follow vision. And when they believe in something, they become a force that gathers others with sheer presence. Not performance, not position. It's just who they are. But the moment someone tries to control them, the moment you try to leash that fire for your own benefit, something in them snaps. They don't yell, they outgrow you. They don't rebel, they outmove you. And by the time you realize it, they've already taken their energy, their clarity, and their momentum elsewhere. Aries won't tolerate manipulation disguised as leadership. They don't follow titles, they follow truth. And if you try to dominate them, you won't just lose their cooperation, you'll lose their respect. Because you can walk beside an Aries, you can build with them, but you can never stand in front and expect them to shrink. They were born to break limits, not live inside yours. Life lesson: you can't control a soul that was built to lead. The more you try, the more you reveal your own fear of their freedom. Let people rise, especially the ones who burn brighter than you expected. Are you the Aries who was always told to calm down or be less? Or did you try to lead one and realize they were never meant to follow? Let's talk about it in the comments. Reason 8. They trust with an open heart, but one lie can close the door forever. Aries begins every connection with hope. Not blind hope, not naive hope, but a belief that truth still matters in a world that often avoids it. When they meet someone new, they don't hold back pieces of themselves. They show up honest, direct, unfiltered. They trust because they choose to believe that sincerity deserves sincerity in return. And that's why lying to an Aries is never a small mistake. It doesn't matter how insignificant you think the lie is. It doesn't matter if you meant well. What matters is this: to Aries, dishonesty is not an error. It's a fracture. Once they sense that truth is no longer safe in a connection, something inside them locks. Not out of anger, out of self-preservation. They won't interrogate you. They won't beg for explanations. They won't even always confront you. Sometimes they simply disappear. Because to Aries, a relationship without truth is already dead, and they refuse to resurrect what poisoned them once. In 2026, Aries no longer gives second chances to first lies. Not because they are unforgiving, but because they finally understand the cost of reopening a door that once betrayed them. Life lesson: trust is not built on perfection, it's built on honesty. And when someone gives you access to their inner world, the fastest way to lose it is to lie and assume you'll be forgiven later. Some doors close quietly, and when they do, they never reopen. Have you ever walked away from someone the moment you sensed dishonesty? Or were you the one who realized too late that one lie changed everything? Share your experience in the comments. Reason 9. They love with intensity and leave with the same force when they feel unvalued. When Aries loves, it's unmistakable. They don't hide affection. They don't ration effort. They don't make you guess. Their love is present, physical, loud in its loyalty. They choose you fully, and once they do, they fight for the connection with everything they have. But here's what many people fail to notice. Aries watches closely. They notice when appreciation fades. They feel when effort becomes one-sided. They sense the moment love turns into convenience. And when that realization hits, something shifts inside them. They don't beg to be valued. They don't demand attention. They don't compete for affection. They detach. And when Aries decides to leave, they don't do it slowly, they do it decisively. The same passion that once held you close now carries them far away. No dramatic exits, no endless conversations, just distance. And the silence that follows is heavy because you can feel the absence of someone who once gave you everything. Aries does not chase love that forgets their worth. They would rather walk alone than stay where they are no longer seen. In 2026, this boundary becomes unbreakable. Life lesson: love is not proven by words alone. It's sustained by presence, effort, and respect. And when someone stops feeling valued, the strongest thing they can do is walk away before resentment replaces love. Never assume someone will stay just because they once fought hard for you. Have you ever walked away because you felt taken for granted? If you're an Aries, what was the moment you knew it was time to leave? Let's talk in the comments. Reason 10. They can be sweet and gentle, but when they're angry, they become unrecognizable. There's a softness in Aries that most people miss. It's in the way they laugh too loud when they're happy, in how they remember your favorite things, in their surprising tenderness when you least expect it. They're not just fire, they're warmth. They're playful, silly, protective. But this is what catches people off guard. That same Aries can transform in seconds. When betrayed, dismissed, or deeply disrespected, the gentleness disappears. The warmth evaporates. And what's left is something ancient and wild. Not rage for show, not petty frustration, but a force that speaks of boundaries burned of love that defended you but now must defend itself. Their eyes harden, their voice drops. It's not loud, it's final. And the contrast is so intense you begin to question if the sweet version of them ever existed at all. But it did. And that's the part that hurts the most. You didn't lose a temper, you lost trust. And what replaces it isn't cruelty, it's clarity. A storm disguised as silence, a goodbye dressed in fire. In 2026, Aries no longer tries to manage their fury for others' comfort. They express it to protect their peace. Life lesson: never mistake gentleness for lack of power. The softest people often hold the deepest storms, and when they're forced to choose between self-respect and emotional silence, they'll erupt not to destroy but to free themselves. Have you ever shocked someone with your fire because they only ever saw your sweetness? If you're an Aries, describe the moment your kindness ended because someone crossed the line. Reason 11. They are patient at first, but once it's gone, they explode without a filter. Aries will surprise you with their patience. They'll let you speak. They'll wait. They'll give you space even when every part of them wants to react immediately. They do this not because they're weak, but because they hope that clarity will come, hope that maybe you didn't mean what you said, hope that things can be repaired without chaos. But every Aries has an internal line, and once it's crossed, their patience becomes something else entirely. They don't melt down, they detonate. What they were holding back, every word, every wound, every truth, comes flooding out with no filter, no fear, and no chance of stopping. Their voice sharpens, their energy shifts. You no longer feel their restraint. You feel the storm they were trying not to become. It's not about proving a point. It's about making one thing absolutely clear. I've had enough. And in 2026, that threshold is lower than ever. Not because Aries is more reactive, but because they're finally done carrying everyone's emotional weight but their own. They no longer believe in swallowing fire to keep the room calm. Life lesson: there's only so long someone can hold in what hurts before it bursts. Don't test the patience of someone who's trying to preserve peace. Because when that peace breaks, you don't just meet their words, you meet their truth. And truth has no filter. Has your patience ever snapped mid-conversation and suddenly everything spilled out? If you're Aries, what happens inside you when silence no longer feels safe? Reason 12. They're the first to help you, but also the first to set boundaries when you take too much. If you're ever in crisis, the first to arrive is an Aries. Before you even finish explaining, they're already moving. They'll give you time, effort, money, protection, whatever they have if it means pulling you out of the dark. Their help is instinctual, their compassion immediate. And it's easy to believe they'll always be there, that you can keep reaching, keep asking, keep leaning. But Aries is not infinite. They notice when your gratitude fades, they feel it when your requests begin to sound like demands, and they'll never say it out loud, but they keep track of who only calls when they're drowning. And here's the part that cuts sharp. When Aries feels used, they don't confront you. They cut the current. The fire that once warmed you vanishes. The voice that once answered instantly goes silent. Not to punish, to protect. Because Aries will pour themselves into your healing, but they will never allow themselves to be your backup generator. In 2026, Aries doesn't ask for reciprocity anymore. They enforce it. With distance, with silence, with absence that speaks louder than any warning. Life lesson: don't wait for someone to burn out before you realize how brightly they've been carrying you. Generosity is not a guarantee. And when someone pulls back, it's rarely because they stopped caring. It's because you stopped noticing they were the one holding it all together. Have you ever felt drained by someone who only reached out when they needed saving? If you're Aries, when did you realize it was time to stop helping and start healing? Reason 13. They forgive quickly. But once you cross the final line, there's no second chance. Aries doesn't like holding grudges. They'd rather clear the air, say what needs to be said, and move on fast and clean. They don't enjoy emotional heaviness. They don't replay mistakes in their head for days. They want peace. Not perfection, just peace. So when someone hurts them, they'll forgive. Once, maybe twice. But there's a line. It's not written down. It's not announced. But it exists. And once you cross it, once Aries feels that their dignity has been disrespected too deeply, that the same wound has been reopened one time, too many, they disappear. No long talks, no emotional grand finales, just gone. And you might not even know it happened until days, weeks, even months later when you realize they never came back. Because Aries doesn't make scenes, they make exits. And in 2026, those exits come faster than ever before. Because Aries finally understands forgiveness is sacred. And they will not keep offering it to someone who treats it like currency. Once they're done, they are done. No door, no window, just flame, and then nothing. Life lesson: never assume someone will keep forgiving you just because they did once. There's a limit to grace. And when that limit is reached, even the kindest soul can walk away with no words left. Appreciate second chances. They are not promises, they are gifts. Have you ever reached your final limit with someone even after forgiving them again and again? If you're Aries, how did you know you'd forgiven for the last time? Reason 14. Their energy gives life. But if you bring negativity, it turns volcanic. Aries doesn't just walk into a room, they shift it. You feel them before they speak. They carry a current, electric, vibrant, relentless. It wakes people up. It makes stale environments feel alive again. They are movement, they are momentum, they are fire in human form. And most people love this energy until it starts reacting to darkness. Because Aries can tolerate many things, chaos, fear, even failure. But what they cannot absorb is constant negativity. People who criticize but never build, who drain joy with complaint, who meet every bright idea with shadow. When this happens, Aries doesn't dim quietly, they erupt. Their energy, once used to uplift, turns volcanic, explosive, unforgiving. Not because they want to destroy, but because their fire refuses to be contaminated. They will call it out. They will burn it down. And if they have to leave the whole room to protect their spark, they will. In 2026, Aries is done explaining this shift. They no longer apologize for protecting their frequency. They simply cleanse the space and walk away from whatever poisons it. Life lesson: energy is sacred. And those who radiate light are not responsible for healing every shadow that walks beside them. If someone gives you warmth, don't smother it with coldness. They won't beg you to change. They'll remove themselves and take the fire with them. Have you ever felt your energy erupt because someone kept bringing negativity into your space? If you're Aries, tell us what happens when your light reaches its breaking point. Reason 15. They lift you up. But if you minimize them, they'll run right over you. Aries is a natural motivator. They see your potential before you do. They speak life into your goals. They push you toward who you could become, not with soft whispers, but with fire and certainty. Their support is bold, loud, unapologetically passionate. But many people make one critical mistake. They assume Aries only knows how to lift, not how to strike. They see the enthusiasm, the encouragement, the energy, and they think Aries will stay small just to keep others comfortable. They think Aries needs their approval. They think they can shrink the flame. And that's when Aries stops cheering and starts charging. Because once Aries feels underestimated, once they sense you're trying to box their power for your own comfort, they will break through you. Not to harm, but to remind. They don't compete, they conquer. And in 2026, Aries no longer plays down their brilliance to be liked. They rise even if it leaves others in their shadow. Life lesson: if you try to shrink someone to feel taller, you will one day watch them outgrow your reach completely. Don't confuse encouragement with submission. Those who lift you can also leave you behind, especially if you doubt the size of their fire. Have you ever been underestimated and then had to show someone exactly what they misjudged? Aries, share your moment. Let them feel what rising really looks like. Reason 16. They're natural protectors, but hurt someone they love and you'll meet their wildest side. There's a side of Aries that few people truly understand. They're known for defending themselves, yes, but their true fire is reserved for one thing: protecting others. When someone they love is under threat, Aries doesn't ask questions. They don't wait for permission. They step in. They confront. They fight. It's instinct. Their body moves before their mind. Their voice sharpens before you even know there's danger. Their energy shifts into something fierce and unshakable. If you've ever been on the receiving end of their protection, you know what safety feels like. But if you're the one causing the harm, there is no diplomacy, no negotiation, no warning. Aries becomes something ancient, a warrior spirit, a firestorm with purpose. They won't allow cruelty in their space, not from strangers, not from friends, not from family. And in 2026, that fire has evolved. They don't just protect physically, they protect energetically, emotionally, spiritually. And they no longer hesitate to burn bridges for the sake of protecting someone they love. If you test that you will meet a version of Aries, you'll never forget. Life lesson. True protectors are never passive. They will guard what matters to them with silence, with rage, with boundaries, whatever it takes. Respect the ones who defend others. Because if you ever become the threat, they will defend against you too. Have you ever watched someone cross a line with someone you love and felt the fire rise inside you? Aries tell us what protection looks like when it comes from your heart. Reason 17. They always say what they think, and when angry, their words cut like knives. Aries doesn't do secrets. If something's wrong, they'll say it. If you've hurt them, they won't sugarcoat it. They believe truth is healing even when it stings. Most of the time, that honesty is refreshing. You always know where you stand with them. You never have to guess what they're feeling. But when Aries is pushed too far, that honesty becomes something else. It becomes weaponized. Their words stop softening. Their tone stops sparing you. They say the thing you feared most, and they say it with precision. Not because they want to hurt you, but because they've been hurting. Because they were patient. Because they gave space. Because they waited for you to change and you didn't. And when that limit snaps, Aries doesn't explode randomly. They explode with clarity. You'll hear exactly what you did, why it mattered, and what it broke inside of them, and you will feel it. Because Aries doesn't scream to scream. They speak truth with such heat that your soul remembers it. In 2026, Aries no longer holds their tongue for the sake of false peace. They speak what must be said, and they let the fire cleanse what politeness never could. Life lesson. Truth is not always gentle, and those who speak from a wounded heart often speak with the sharpest honesty. If someone tells you the raw truth, listen, not to defend yourself, but to understand where the pain lives. Has your honesty ever shocked someone who underestimated your silence, Aries? What did you finally say when you could no longer hold it in? Reason 18. They're loyal to the bone, but treat them like a fool, and they'll show you who's in control. Loyalty isn't a concept to Aries, it's a code, an unspoken law written into their fire. If they choose you as a friend, a partner, a teammate, you get all of them. They'll defend you when you're not in the room. They'll believe in you when you no longer believe in yourself. They'll show up when everyone else makes excuses. And they won't ask for anything in return except one thing: respect. But here's the problem. People confuse Aries' loyalty with blindness. They think Aries doesn't notice the manipulation, the small lies, the passive digs, the energy that shifts when they're no longer needed. They think Aries will stay silent. At first, maybe they will, because they're watching, giving you a chance to correct it, letting you prove you didn't mean to treat them like less. But when you don't, they don't walk away with sadness, they walk away with fire. And when they leave, they don't just take their loyalty, they take their silence, their support, their belief in you. and you'll feel the difference between being chosen and being tolerated. In 2026, Aries isn't afraid to show you who you underestimated. They don't fight to stay where they aren't valued. They remind you without a word what it means to lose someone who would have done anything for you. Life lesson: loyalty is sacred, but it's not infinite. If you treat someone's faith in you like a weapon, don't be surprised when they disarm you and walk away with it, because the strongest people will forgive once, then show you who they really are when you try them twice. Have you ever had to pull your loyalty back from someone who kept testing it? Aries, what made you finally say, "Never again"? Reason 19. They defend you like a lion, but betray them and they become the lion against you. There is no halfway with Aries when it comes to protection. If you are part of their world, you are a part of their fight. They will shield you from harm. Speak on your behalf. Go to war in rooms you'll never even know about. Their love isn't quiet, it's ferocious. They will stand between you and the threat without hesitation, without needing to be asked. And you'll feel safe in a way few people have ever made you feel. But the danger is this: if you betray them, if you lie, manipulate, or cross a line that violates their trust, that same lion no longer guards you. It turns, and you will feel it. Not just in what they say, but in what they no longer protect. Because Aries doesn't pretend everything is fine. They don't play nice when wounded. They become primal. The loyalty that once roared on your behalf now demands answers. And if those answers are hollow, they won't waste time growling. They'll walk away with power, with presence, with eyes that say, "You'll never get this version of me again." In 2020, Aries no longer offers warnings. They defend until you give them a reason to stop, and when they stop, it's complete. Life lesson: the people who fight for you the hardest are often the ones you lose the fastest when you turn into the threat they swore to protect you from. Loyalty without boundaries is self-destruction, and Aries is done destroying themselves for anyone. Have you ever protected someone who later became the one who hurt you? If you're Aries, what did it feel like to become the lion against someone you once defended? Reason 20. Their fire warms, but it can also burn everything to the ground. You felt it the moment they walked into your life. That spark, that pull, that impossible to define sensation that something real had arrived. Aries doesn't offer love with hesitation. They don't enter relationships calculating risk. They come in blazing. They give. They protect, they carry. And while most people marvel at their light, they forget the most important truth about fire. It does not ask, it does not beg, it simply is. Aries warms you, heals you, fuels you, until you take advantage of it, lie to it, diminish it, assume it will always stay. And then you see what too many forget. The same flame that brought life can destroy without remorse. Not because they want to hurt you, but because survival sometimes demands destruction. Aries will not stay where their worth is questioned. They will not remain where their love is mishandled. They will not be tamed, contained, or explained away. They will vanish, not out of cruelty, but out of instinct, because the fire that once fought for you now fights for itself. In 2026, Aries is no longer dimming their flame just to keep others comfortable. They burn clean. They burn forward. And if you stand in the way, they burn through. Life lesson: never fall in love with fire and then complain when it burns. If someone gives you their intensity, their loyalty, their heart, you protect it, or you lose it. Because some people are not meant to be held, they are meant to be respected. And Aries is not just a sign, it's a lesson of what happens when light refuses to be used. Have you ever had to burn it all down just to find yourself again? Aries, tell us, the moment you stopped apologizing for your flame. Final conclusion: the flame remembered. If you've made it this far, you already know. Aries isn't a sign, it's a sacred pattern. It's what happens when a soul chooses truth over comfort, when a heart refuses to love halfway, when someone chooses to speak, to act, to walk away before they ever choose to betray themselves. You've seen the loyalty, You've felt the rage. You've watched the silence, the eruption, the transformation. And maybe, just maybe, you've seen it in yourself. Because Aries doesn't exist only in astrology, it lives inside anyone who's ever given too much, who stayed loyal when it hurt, who walked away from a burning house because they realized they were the ones on fire. In 2026, that version of Aries is rising again, not as a destroyer, but as a mirror, to remind the world that passion is not weakness, that kindness is not blindness, that fire is not the enemy, disrespect is. And once that boundary is crossed, Aries doesn't seek revenge. They simply never return. So if you've ever loved an Aries lost one, betrayed one, or are one, now you understand. They were never too much. They were exactly what the moment needed. But not every moment deserved them. Life lesson: protect your fire, speak your truth, and never let the world convince you that intensity is something to apologize for. Because some souls weren't made to blend in. They were made to burn clean through illusion. And Aries is the beginning, not because it starts something, but because it dares to be the first to stand alone. Final comment invitation. Tell me what part of this fire felt like you. Were you the one who gave everything, the one who had to walk away, or the one who finally stopped dimming just to be accepted? Drop it in the comments. Someone else out there needs to hear your truth. And if this spoke to you, subscribe. The power of the Zodiac signs, not just to the channel, but to the version of you that refuses to be silenced. We're just getting started. The flame never dies, it only gets stronger.